Okay. Hello, everyone. It is another Friday Love Your Liver live stream. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the Nutrition Detective around these here YouTube parts. And boy, I've had a busy night. So if I seem a little tired, yeah, I stayed up late last night writing my vitamin A and obesity thread. I wanted to finish it today because Friday is a good day to get threads out. So I didn't think I was going to finish it. I stayed up till midnight, and then I had to get up at like 4:30 this morning to get some other stuff done before I'm here. So yeah, if I look a little tired, it's because I had a long night and a short sleep, long night. Anyway, let's get into it. So today we are going to talk about, before we get into questions, so just for all of you who are here, if you want to help the channel grow, we always say this, make sure to, if you're in the chat right now, the live chat, thank you for coming. That's awesome. We got 15 people in there right now. We usually get up around 50, maybe 60. But X out of the chat, make sure to hit the like button so YouTube sends more people here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And then also, if you see this later, which a lot of you do, and I really appreciate that if you leave a comment, it doesn't matter how fancy or complex your comment is. As I always say, you could just say comment, and that'll help the computers to know to share this more. So anyway, those are things you can do to help the channel. Other than, one of the reasons somebody was kind of wondering why I was on Twitter so much, and the reason I'm on Twitter these days is because Facebook isn't open to people who don't have an account, and Instagram isn't open to people who don't have an account. So Twitter's open to the public. So the reason I'm on Twitter is because that's where the action's at, and that's where anybody can go see it. So yeah, that's the big thread that came out. I linked my big thread from a week or two ago down below, the vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist thread. It's about 90 tweets. That's a hell of a thread. And I go deeper into how vitamin A deficiency is actually mistaken for muscle meat deficiency, because you need protein and zinc and at least taurine from meat to protect you from vitamin A and to get it out of your liver. So if you want to learn more about this and see me basically destroy the idea that we need vitamin A to live, and show that all the symptoms of supposed vitamin A deficiency are caused by either a combination of, or one of, protein deficiency, protein deficiency, zinc deficiency, and taurine deficiency. And they always find vitamin A deficiency in malnourished people who don't eat enough meat. It's very simple. So, and then they get low vitamin A in their blood, which, if you've heard me talk about this enough, you know that the blood doesn't tell you how much vitamin A is stored in the liver at all. It's not that it's useless. I can use it. I've seen enough tests and I've seen enough people, and I monitor how people are doing to see how they're improving. Or if they're not improving, then we got stuff to fix. But yeah, we watch it and then we can tell how the bile is going, because that's what we're going to go over today. Toxic bile theory. I'm not going to do the whole thing again because I want to get to more questions today. If you want to know more about toxic bile theory, I believe it's 71. Love Your Liver Livestream 71. So go back a couple from this. Gretchen, you're very welcome. I'm glad you appreciate my sharing this. And yes, Merry Christmas to everyone. Remember the reason for the season, if you know what I mean. Let's get into it. So toxic bile theory, go watch 71 about how that all works. Basically, your health issues are being caused by the toxicity of your bile that your liver makes. Bile is your liver's poop, basically. If you think of your liver as detoxing you, well, your liver, just like when you cook in your kitchen, you're going to have garbage, waste. Your liver turns, when you say your liver detoxes you, the toxins don't magically poof disappear. They have to go somewhere after they're processed. They go into your bile. That is how your liver wants to get rid of toxic stuff. If it's going to your kidneys, toxins that are going to your kidneys or coming out of your skin, when people say, oh, your skin is your biggest detox organ, you don't want to detox out your skin. That causes eczema, psoriasis, skin cancer. You don't want to detox through your skin if you don't have to. You don't want to detox through your kidneys if you don't have to. Yes, your kidneys detox, but you don't want to send bile in your blood to your kidneys. Okay. So your health issues, potentially your sleep problems, your insomnia, which I can tell you, I used to have terrible insomnia. A lot of my early writings on vitamin A toxicity on my research forum here. Let me link my old research forum, which I kept around because there's a lot of gold there. It's not all current with my ideas, but this is where I get a lot of my stuff for Twitter threads from, because this was like my old stomping grounds. It was my forum. It was a forum where I talked to myself. I felt better posting on a forum. I felt blogs were too permanent, but a forum I didn't mind editing or changing. So anyway, so I did it on a forum instead of a blog. That's why I did that. And that's why I was alone on my forum. So anyway, there's that. So you can go and look up all sorts of stuff there. But that I was doing a lot of that writing back when I was still very vitamin A toxic and copper toxic. And I slept like crap. I would wake up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., not going back to sleep. And I just wake up and get on my computer and start writing. So I used the insomnia to be productive. But now I fixed it. Last night I didn't get enough sleep because I went to bed too late and I had to get up too early. So anyway. But let's go into toxic bile theory, vitamin A toxicity, copper toxicity, zinc deficiency, and sleep. What I could find on these things. There's not a lot of research out there. So the way your body gets rid of extra vitamin A, the way your body gets rid of copper, it puts it into the bile. This is in the research. I'm not going to find research on this. This is easy to find. Your body gets rid of vitamin A and copper and other toxic things, preferably through the bile. It would get rid of all of it. Like, your body can clear vitamin A out of the blood within a minute. If it's got the space to store it in your liver, it can take it out of your blood and store it in a minute. Grant has, I need to get that study from Grant, where he showed that they gave people a vitamin A injection. And within a minute or something, their vitamin A level went up a little bit, and then it dropped back to exactly where it was before. Where did all that vitamin A go? It was stored. Your body can store vitamin A. It stores it in fat. Weird if we were to say vitamin A is connected to obesity and we're storing too much of a fat-soluble vitamin. And for those who think choline is helpful in this process, choline is how you store vitamin A in your fat tissues. It's how do you know you can store alcohol in your liver and your fat tissues? Do you know what you bind alcohol, ethanol, to fatty acid esters with? You use choline. Your body can make choline. Your liver can make phosphatidylcholine. If you haven't seen my eggs and choline thread on Twitter, some of you may want to link that in the chat. I'm not going to go find it right now. But yeah, eggs. Eggs are the highest source of choline. Eggs directly raise your blood choline, and the long-term research on eggs is not good. I'm talking about egg yolks specifically, the bright yellow part. I'll just say this here, Ramon, if you eat enough quality meat, you shouldn't need to supplement taurine or zinc, is what you're saying? Okay. I'll just give a quick statement on this. The only people who come to me who have good zinc levels when they arrive is all muscle meat carnivores. That's the only people who have enough zinc in their system. And their copper is usually pretty good too. Let me make this statement about the all muscle meat. I'm not talking about any organs, no organs. People keep asking me about heart and tripe and whatever. If it's a muscle, I don't care. Eat it. Heart is a muscle. Tongue is a muscle. They're called organ meats, but it's a muscle. It's just grouped in different stuff than a steak would be or ground beef. So if you want to eat heart or intestines or stuff that is muscles, that's up to you. That's fine. I'm not saying that. But all muscle meat carnivores. The thing about an all muscle meat carnivore diet is it's a low copper diet. It's a very low vitamin A diet. It's a very low copper diet. And it's a good zinc diet. What are we trying to do here? This is why a lot of people say, I feel really good on an all muscle meat carnivore diet, but then they get stuck there because they can't escape. Like with so many of these very extreme diets, they can't, people can't escape keto. They can't escape carnivore. If they try adding in foods, they feel awful. So they paint themselves in a corner. Pierre, thanks for getting that eggs and choline thread. They paint themselves into a corner with that diet because they're not getting rid of their bile. The easiest thing to do if you're on an all muscle meat carnivore diet to help get rid of toxic bile is to add some form of soluble fiber. It can be supplemental. Taurine, I do generally think, so here's the idea behind taurine and zinc. People eating a more normal diet, not an extreme diet like all muscle meat carnivore, are going to be zinc deficient. And it's going to be very, very hard to fix that with simply diet. Also, when people are doing vitamin A and copper detox, you need even more zinc. People don't appreciate this. I did not appreciate how much zinc people needed to protect themselves, to get rid of the vitamin A. Actually, I have that in the vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist thread, is you actually need enough zinc to get vitamin A out of your liver. This is why when people read the studies, they'll say, well, when people supplement zinc or animals are given zinc, their blood vitamin A goes up. Well, how would that work? Where did it come from? Where did the vitamin A come from? They took zinc. Where did the vitamin A come from? It was stuck in their liver. When people don't eat enough protein, they can't make retinol binding protein. Vitamin A gets stuck in their liver. So they have studies where they start feeding people who have their protein energy malnutrition, protein calorie malnutrition. And they start feeding them protein and not giving them vitamin A. And their blood vitamin A goes up. They weren't giving them vitamin A, but their blood vitamin A goes up. Where did it come from? It was stuck in their liver. And they're going to try to say that these people are vitamin A deficient. When they give them protein and zinc, their blood vitamin A goes up, but they didn't give them any vitamin A. So that means the only place it could have come from was out of storage. What do we store vitamin A with again? Oh, choline. Interesting. So be very wary of high choline diets. Grant didn't have a high choline diet. I don't do a high choline diet. My success stories don't do a high choline diet. People can try things out. You can try things out. It may not end as well as you've hoped. We've made a lot of mistakes. In the 4 years that I've been doing the Love Your Liver, I made a lot of mistakes because I read the research wrong. If you read the research wrong, you can set yourself back a year or two. Oh, Will, thanks for the super chat. He says, you filled a hole in my zinc model. Thank you, sir. Yes, the zinc thing, that thread, that vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist thread is like, if you ever wanted to see the ultimate expression of my work, that Twitter thread is it. I am quite proud of it. No one can take that away from me. So let's get into the sleep thing. So I posted this in the network. So first of all, we're going to define something. We're going to say a lot of studies now, it's almost like they're trying to hide vitamin A toxicity from people because a lot of the studies, they don't look at serum retinol, which is crappy anyway. They look at retinol binding protein. You know you need protein to make retinol binding protein? Do you know you need zinc to make retinol binding protein? Do you know what retinol binding protein does in your body? It protects you from vitamin A toxicity because if you have vitamin A floating around in your system, this is in the research, retinol, free retinol floating around in your system causes vitamin A toxicity symptoms. Retinol esters, the stuff that is made, the fatty acid esters that are retinol with a choline attaching a fatty acid esters. You can't attach fatty acid esters to make retinol esters, which is what you store in the liver, without LRAT, the enzyme, which is lecithin retinol acyltransferase, LRAT, LRAT. It requires phosphatidylcholine to run. But retinol esters, let me just say this in the research, free fatty acids are inflammatory in your blood. Free fatty acids are inflammatory in your blood. Free retinol is inflammatory in your blood. Guess what happens when you put retinol and fatty acid esters together? They're still toxic. They didn't become any less toxic. So if you have retinol esters floating around your blood, too many of them, there's a definition of vitamin A toxicity, which is over 5% of your total vitamin A in your blood is retinol esters. That's how inflammatory the storage form of vitamin A is. What do you think it's doing in your liver? Again, the choline thing is a big rift in this community right now. You start taking more choline and slacking on your vitamin A reduction, you're setting yourself up to store even more vitamin A in the liver, and people aren't going to know because they don't measure the liver content of vitamin A. A lot of people out there aren't even testing their vitamin A to know anything. And then most people have never seen enough labs of vitamin A, serum retinol, to make any judgment. But anyway, back to retinol binding protein. Retinol binding protein protects you from vitamin A. So if you don't make enough of it, you get more vitamin A toxicity. This is in the literature. I have this. It's in the vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist thread. In the research, I'm going to link this paper. It specifically says retinol binding protein is a good surrogate or stand-in for serum retinol. Blood vitamin A and blood retinol binding protein are they're basically, you can use one for the other. Okay. Which is the weird thing. So when you take zinc, your serum retinol goes up. When you take zinc, your serum retinol binding protein goes up. When you eat more protein, your serum retinol goes up. So I'm talking about malnourished people. Serum retinol goes up. You eat more protein, serum retinol binding protein goes up. If you are if you are trying to do what we're doing here, and you are under eating protein, you're going to have a bad time. One of the things I think that for those of you out there who are trying to do this on your own, if the way you do your diet, either you're not getting enough zinc from your diet, or you're not getting enough, you're not getting enough muscle meat from your diet, or the detox is sucking too much zinc out of you because it uses it. And you decide that you're not going to test your zinc and you don't want to take supplements. What do you think you're going to get? You're going to get worse zinc deficiency, which comes with its own symptoms. This is not a game. I only do 4 blood tests plus a hair test. But you know what I get on both of those things? I get zinc and copper in the blood, and I get zinc and copper in the hair. Does that tell you that this is probably pretty important to me? So if you're flying blind on your zinc, somebody in the Love Your Liver network went a little rogue and took a lot of zinc. Didn't feel good. They got zinc toxicity. Don't ever think that I deny that zinc toxicity exists. Zinc toxicity is legit. You could take too much magnesium. You could kill yourself with potassium. That doesn't mean, see, there's essential, one of the key things is essential nutrients can be toxic too. You can drink so much water, you can kill yourself. But do you need water to live? Yes. Do you need zinc to live? Yes. But you don't need an excess. So I love zinc, but I don't generally recommend. I use zinc picolinate. Somebody was talking about that in the chat. Zinc picolinate is the only type I use. It is the only one. I've been watching hair tests and blood tests for a long time. Other supplements, I had a guy come in, he was on magnesium threonate, magnesium, or I was thinking, I have people on the zinc, all the fancy zincs. I tried zinc orotate. I tried all the ones that they blow smoke up your butt about, like, this is the magical zinc. Zinc sulfate is garbage. Straight up, any sulfate mineral, magnesium sulfate, zinc sulfate, you don't want more sulfur in your system. It slows down your detox. Everybody out there says you need sulfur to detox. When everybody's saying that, it's not the correct thing. So vitamin A and RBP, retinol binding protein, RBP. So let's go into this paper, the association, and I'm putting these links in the chat. Associations of serum zinc, copper, and zinc copper ratio with sleep duration in adults. Okay. Let me find the quote I took out of here. Where'd it go? Oh, let me find it. Okay. In the regression model, so they're talking about real people here. In the regression model, the mean arterial pressure, so that's the kind of, if you want to think of it as the average of your blood pressure, homocysteine, RBP4, retinol binding protein 4, which is the main one they measure, and TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, remain as significant independent predictors related to short sleep duration. Not getting enough sleep is associated with higher blood pressure, higher homocysteine. Now, let me just address the homocysteine here. I have a video on the YouTubes showing that more vitamin A in the blood is associated with higher homocysteine. Vitamin A depletes folate. Vitamin A depletes B12. So you got all these people out there shoving down B12 and folate supplements because of their high homocysteine, when the very same thing is causing the low folate, the low B12, and the high homocysteine. So I just posted that video in there. I'll probably redo it as a Twitter thread soon enough. Then I have a big thyroid article about vitamin A. It does all sorts of terrible things to your thyroid. All sorts of terrible things. TSH can go up or way down. It's like, the thyroid goes bonkers. You never know which way, because, like, why do some people go hyperthyroid? Why do some people go hypothyroid? There's a lot of factors, but vitamin A is like at the root of it. Vitamin A toxicity on your liver health and the bile leaking into your blood. That's how vitamin A gets into your blood. If you have vitamin A in your blood, you're leaking bile. I'm fully sure of this. Your liver takes vitamin A out of your blood amazingly fast to store it. It wants it out of the blood. So how would it get back into the blood? through the bile leaking into it. So make sure to go watch that toxic bile theory 71, live stream 71. So what, and then let me go one more thing on this one. Oh, and then there's the so there's the thread that's going to drop today about connecting vitamin A to obesity. But I'm going to post my old YouTube video link. This was like 2 years ago. You guys will see a huge difference in my appearance from 2 or 3 years ago and now. I'm a lot healthier now. It takes years to get rid of this vitamin A. So if you think you're in here for like a month detox, no, it's not. We're talking years. And if you do it wrong, this is not a game. It's going to take you longer. If you're too slack on your vitamin A intake, you decide that polyphenols are good for you, the plant antioxidants, you want to eat a bunch of those and slow down your detox. You decide that sulfur is good for you. You decide that you can drink every weekend. You're going to set yourself back. So more retinol binding protein in the blood is associated with retinol binding protein 4. More retinol binding protein means more serum retinol, shorter sleep. So they're either falling asleep later. They're basically reporting how long they slept. And they're saying when they correlate people saying how long they slept, or actually, I'm sorry, this was children. I believe the study was children. Oh, yes. Obese children. Oh, I forgot. Obese children. The study was on obese children. People, correlation is not causation. So what I'm saying is I'm presenting the research that vitamin A causes obesity. Vitamin A increases homocysteine. Vitamin A depletes folate and B12, which are associated with higher homocysteine. And TSH, vitamin A ruins your thyroid. So it is all connected. It's all correlated. And I believe we have the cause that can cause all of these things. And I present the research. So anyway, so that's that. Now, we got that one. Now let's go into this one. Association. Well, did I do the wrong study? I may have talked about the wrong study. In terms of, I may have said the vitamin A one with the title of the zinc and copper one. Anyway, so the two titles of the studies. One is short sleep duration is related to emerging cardiovascular risk factors in obese children. That's the vitamin A one. Okay. Now we have the other one that I think I mentioned, associations of serum zinc, copper, and zinc/copper ratio with sleep duration in adults. Okay. Let me just take this quote. Finally, the dose response trends suggested that participants with optimal sleep duration had the highest serum zinc concentration and zinc to copper ratio, and a slightly lower serum copper concentration. Gosh, what am I trying to do here? Fix people's zinc deficiency and fix their copper toxicity, which would fix their zinc to copper ratio, and their copper. And we see sleep improve. It can go a little wonky along the way. I'm not going to say that it's not, the path to getting better is not a straight line. Don't come into this thinking that your path to getting better is a straight line. But also, if you are doing something and you are making yourself feel worse, like let's say you induce a zinc deficiency because of your chosen foods, because the detox is sucking the zinc out of you, because you're not testing your zinc, because maybe you refuse to supplement zinc, or maybe you're using the wrong type of zinc, you could induce a zinc deficiency. So this is how somebody could make themselves worse while they're doing what they think is the right thing. I don't want that to happen. That's why I say we test, we don't guess, then we address. Not everybody needs the same amount of zinc. How do we know how much a person needs? We test. And then we also listen to the feedback from people Do they feel better? Is it too much? Okay, so now let's get right into the bile, toxic bile theory. Here's the paper. This is the only one I could find connecting sleep to bile. In there? So toxic bile theory is bile leaking into your blood, right? You ever notice how when you don't get enough sleep, you feel like crap? What is it about not sleeping that makes you feel like crap? Could it be toxic bile leaking into your blood? Could it be that when you dump bile at night, if you leak it into your blood, that's when you wake up, typically hot, got your mind racing, probably because of the copper in your blood, got to pee because your body's trying to get rid of some of that toxicity that's in the blood going to the kidneys? So let me find this quote in here. So what they did was they deprived these mice of sleep. Okay. For, I think, was it 8 consecutive days. They gave them 4 hours of sleep a day for 8 days. Okay. Where is it? The levels of bile acids were significantly increased in the serum, blood, liver, and ileum in their guts of sleep-deprived mice. And then they're going to say, but this Jiao Tai, probably a Chinese medicine combination, Jiao Tai pills, JTP, they're saying this can significantly reduce the levels of bile in the blood, this supplement. Now, this is where I want to tell you, again, this is not a game. You start going and taking some herbal pills, some Chinese medicine pills that they reduced the bile in the blood of these mice. Isn't that good? How did it do that? It probably slowed down the bile production. You can make people feel better. How can you make people feel better while you're not helping them get better? You could slow down their bile production because then they won't leak as much into their blood. Or you could do things like we've been talking about here that store more vitamin A in the body fat and the liver. If you get the vitamin A and the other toxicities out of the blood, you can feel better short term. But you are not getting better. The bile is not leaving. Do you understand? This is why this is not a game. This is why people can be messing themselves up thinking, ooh, my symptoms went away. I started eating more vitamin A, which slows down bile production, or I started eating more choline, which stores more vitamin A, and my symptoms got better because they weren't eating low enough vitamin A anyway. And they think they're doing a good thing for themselves. It's going to end very badly. This is not a game. Grant and I talked the other day. I was on the phone with Grant Genereux, the guy who introduced me to vitamin A toxicity. We absolutely do not think that trying to increase the choline in the diet is necessary or good for this process. We do not agree. So that's that. So bile. So there was more bile in the blood of rats who were deprived of sleep. Interesting. Do you feel crappy when you don't get enough sleep because you have too much bile in your blood? What can make you not sleep? Vitamin A in your bile getting into your blood, copper in your bile getting into your blood. You want to know what the common presentation of people who are copper toxic, their insomnia, you want to know what that is? It's commonly they lay down in bed, they cannot turn their brain off. Maybe they're getting palpitations. You can feel your heart beating, maybe fast. And then maybe they're anxious, depressed. It's a very mental state. Anxiety, depression, heart palpitations, and they have trouble falling asleep when they initially go to bed. That's a common copper toxicity presentation. And then you've got people out there, protocol people saying that, and copper revolution stuff saying that everybody needs more copper, and it's going to end really badly for them too. When you fill up your liver with enough vitamin A or enough copper that it can't store it anymore, it comes out, it leaks. The dam is going to burst. And then these people who have been doing this, they've been poisoning themselves for months and months, maybe years and years. This is what happens. They go, I don't know why. All of a sudden, everything fell apart in my health. I've been doing all these things for months, years. I felt better for a long time. Shut down the bile, increase the storage. You can feel better for quite a while. And then the wheels fall off. What happens in your house if you keep too many things and you don't get rid of enough stuff and you just keep accumulating stuff in your house? You run out of room to function. And then all of a sudden, then then if you're one of these people, you got stuff in your yard where it's not supposed to be, or you got to buy a storage unit, which is like, if you think of storage units, when you run out of space in your house to store stuff, storage units are cancer and tumors, cysts. Your body's making more storage area to store the toxicity. Cancer is an effort by your body to protect you from the toxicity that you continue to put into it. So it's not floating around in your blood. Stuff in your blood causes you symptoms. That's where you get the main symptoms. So, I mean, stuff in your liver is slowly ruining your liver. Toxic bile in your liver is slowly ruining your liver. Toxic bile going to your kidneys is ruining your kidneys. Toxic bile coming out of your skin is the cause of your skin problems. At some point, your body says, this is a bad situation. We need to make more storage areas for this because we're running out of it in the liver and the body fat, and we're going to make new tissue. This is why cancer is your tissue. This is why cancer tissue is dumb tissue. You don't need storage areas to be smart. It's dumb tissue. It's not attacking you. If you want to have a war on cancer, that's what medicine wants you to do. A war on your own body, on your own storage areas, not what we're trying to do here. We believe that the body is doing the best it can with the tools it has. Therefore, cancer and tumors and cysts are adaptations by the body. This is why when they try to do biopsies of cancers and other stuff, and then the cancer spreads, metastasizes, gosh, what do you think they just poked a hole in that started leaking out? You're leaking toxins, stored toxic bile. And now the body says, oh, crap, well, that area didn't work. Now we got to start another one. Is it all starting to make sense now? Your body says, I can't have this floating around in the blood. It'll kill me. So let's make a storage area, a new storage area. But anyway, bile. So we got bile in the blood from not sleeping. Now I'm just going to post a couple of papers here. Circadian rhythms and bile acid homeostasis, a comprehensive review. Your bile has a rhythm in the day. Do you wonder why you wake up at the same time every night? That's when you dump bile. Here's another one, bile acid metabolism and circadian rhythms. What if it is your bile? It's when you fix your circadian rhythm, or you do better with your circadian rhythm, what if you feel better because your bile is working better? And this is most evidence as, do you know that night shift work as they call it, but night shift, late night shift, graveyard shift type work is considered a carcinogen. What did we just talk about with cancer? Bile. Shift work. Disrupted circadian rhythms and sleep. Implications for health and well-being. Well, mess up the circadian rhythm of your bile by being up all night. Oh, wait, what just happened with the mice who were deprived of sleep? They had more bile in their blood. Are we putting this all together or what? Okay. This is how this all fits together. This is why this is the new paradigm of medicine for people who actually want to fix their problems and are willing to take responsibility for it. And people often, you guys may notice this, people who work graveyard shifts, night shifts, they gain a lot of weight. What did I just go over causes obesity? Vitamin A toxicity. How do you get vitamin A in your blood? Bile leakage. It all fits together. Oh, and to connect overweight to more bile in the blood, there's the study I've posted here before. Diabetics have twice as much bile in their blood. Coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. So that's enough on that. Okay, I talk too much again. I do this, but I just want to educate. I was coming in here, like I said, I woke up at 4 this morning and I was driving, doing my stuff this morning, and I was going, I don't have a topic for today. And I went, wait, I got the zinc and copper and vitamin A and sleep thing. I got to go over that. And then I expanded it into the bile acids and all that stuff. So I'm going to, again, Will, thank you for the super chat. If for those of you who don't know, super chats are enabled. If I'm going to get into questions now, if you want your question to come to the top of the heap, I'm just starting at the top of the chat and going down. If you want your question to jump to the top of the heap, super chats is how you do it. Again, for those of you who just joined us, if you can, to help this grow, X out of the chat if you're in the live chat. Make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed. That's how you get to do the chat. And then if you're watching this later, make sure to leave a comment, however simple the comment is you want to leave. Okay, so let's get right into the questions. Oh, Pierre is saying, I can hardly wait until the exclusive live stream after this one. I made a really long post in the network for me to comment on. So what Pierre is talking about is the inner circle inside the now newly renamed Nutrition Detective Network. It's still the Love Your Liver program, but the network, our little mini private social network, working in concert to get people better, 1,500 plus people going after the same goal. It's pretty awesome. So if you want to see, I have a free course now that you can join the Nutrition Detective Network if you go to members.nutritiondetective.com. Here, I'll type that in there. If you request to join, it's free, and you can go in and you can see the Madness of Modern Nutrition free course. So that then you're in the network, but you're not in all the really juicy good stuff, and you don't get to interact with the other members until you do fully join. So anyway, Sam asks, some low vitamin A foods are copper rich like chickpeas and bananas. Should we take that into account? If you are really copper toxic, you're going to have to look at the copper in your foods. One suggestion I do for people about this in terms of the low, like let's say in beans, there's people who in the Love Your Liver network or the Nutrition Detective Network in the Love Your Liver program who can't tolerate any beans or grains because of the copper. That's how copper toxic they are, and or they're just not very good at getting rid of it, and or they may have a zinc deficiency, a molybdenum deficiency, a selenium deficiency. There could be all sorts of things going on. They could just be not very good genetically at dealing with copper. Anyway, an easy thing to do to help reduce copper toxicity or to avoid copper toxicity is to look at the foods that, like, let's say you make a list of the beans that you would consider eating or that you like. And you go and you research on the internet the copper content of those beans. And you pick the ones that are on the lowest end of copper. That's one way you could reduce that. You could do that with fruits and vegetables, the low vitamin A ones. You could do that with whole grains. You could do that with anything. So you could just, with what you would eat, you could reduce the copper within those choices. Now, if you tolerate foods and you're monitoring your copper and it's not getting worse, then you're probably going to be okay. But again, the copper is going to come out of your liver and you're going to need more zinc for it. Zinc is critical in this. The people out there on the internet who are saying people should never take zinc because it'll lower your ceruloplasmin, that's not going to end well. But can you take the copper into account? Okay, so it's the diet that we do, the way we do it, it's challenging enough for a lot of people. You know, we're not trying to be like all muscle meat carnivore, right? You can eat muscle meat only. We're not trying to do that. Are there people in the program who do that? Yes, we have an all muscle meat carnivore who has incorporated soluble fiber from psyllium into his diet. That's the only thing he's doing. And he had a little bit of an adjustment period at the start where his gut biome had to adjust, and now he's improving and he's getting better. So he's on a very low copper diet. I mean, the thing that I always tell people is with retinol binding protein and zinc, right? And protein, when in doubt, eat more protein. And by that, I generally mean muscle meat protein, but it could be other forms of protein. But vegetable protein, plant protein is going to come with copper. It's going to come possibly with oxalates. It's going to come with all these things. So when I say eat more protein, when in doubt, eat more protein, I mean muscle meat, because then you're getting more protein, you're getting more zinc, you're getting more taurine. You're helping the vitamin A to get out of your liver. And then you can work in plant foods that are low vitamin A that you tolerate well. Fairly simple. But start with the muscle meats, okay? And then figure out the other things that you can add. And some people don't tolerate muscle meat well. There's rare people like that. Do I respect that? I mean, yeah, I deal with everybody however they are. So we would have to figure out what is going to go on for them, because they're going to need calories. Here's the problem with the challenge with, let's say, a vegan vitamin A detox approach. It's going to be a pretty limited diet because there's not a lot of low vitamin A fruits and vegetables. There's plenty of grains and beans, but we got to get enough calories in these people. They're eating a lot of carotenoids, a lot of plant vitamin A, a lot generally. More so than somebody who's eating meat as half of their diet, let's say. But they need calories. But fat is how you absorb vitamin A. So if you need calories and you're getting a lot of fat with your carotenoid fruits and vegetables, this is how people get. Why do you think vegans turn orange? Palm oil has turned one of my clients orange, the red palm oil. People have done it with carrot juice. Like, people have done it with all sorts of vitamin A foods. Why? What's right under your skin? What layer is right under your skin? Subcutaneous fat. So you store the vitamin A in your skin and in your subcutaneous fat. I don't know if I still can find the quote, but there was a quote from a plastic surgeon, and he said, I can tell when people are eating a healthy diet because the fat that comes out of them is orange. The fat that comes out of them is orange. When you think of fat on an animal, what color do you think of it? It's like when you think of pea, what image comes to your mind? What color? Like, you think of yellow. Pea is yellow. When you think of fat on an animal, do you think of it as orange? I hope not. It should be white. Funny thing that a plastic surgeon is doing liposuction, and the fat, so the person has a lot of fat and it's orange. And I'm sitting here telling you that vitamin A causes obesity. Who would be getting liposuction? Somebody who's overweight. And we're seeing their fat is orange. I put it all together. Okay. Sam's other question. Some sources say MSM should be taken for after Accutane as it helps calcification that Accutane caused. That sounds like somebody's just making stuff up. MSM was the biggest disaster. Taking lots of MSM was the biggest disaster of my health journey. And my lovely office manager, my practice manager, and my buddy were doing it with me, and they got messed up too. Sulfur slows down your detox. Doesn't mean you have to avoid all sulfur, but avoiding the biggest sources, funny thing, egg whites are a big source of sulfur. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, why am I not thinking of the last? Cabbage are huge sources of sulfur. That's why they stink up your house when you cook them. That's the sulfur you're smelling. Allium vegetables, garlic, and onions, stuff like that. Very high in sulfur. That's why they smell so much. In the Bible, what is the smell of hell? Sulfur, brimstone. You can make the association if you'd like. I'm sitting here telling you not to eat sulfur. It slows down your detox, and sulfur just so happens to be the stench of hell. Funny thing, let's do another little association. If you were to picture what colors hell was, fiery, right? Red, yellow, orange. What colors are vitamin A? Red, yellow, orange. Coinkydinks. Anyway, I do not use MSM. I do not use anything generally that is a supplement of sulfur, adds sulfur to the system. I don't use sulfur. Sulfur slows down aldehyde dehydrogenase, ALDH. ALDH is the most critical detox enzyme for aldehydes, retinaldehyde, and ALDH is very connected to bile production. I'm not going to explain all that right now. Accutane, we have a video here on my channel where I'm talking to Grant about the timeline of vitamin A detox. Those of you who have taken Accutane, I'm sorry to say this, but you're in for the longest recovery time. Accutane is just straight poison. So please go out and tell everyone you know, don't take this poison. If you're really a good Samaritan, go on the Accutane survivor groups, go on the Accutane groups on Facebook, wherever, and just there's pharma shills in there saying, "Oh, it's not so bad. Oh, there are no side effects from." They're seriously saying there are no side effects from Accutane, or they're very minimal. There's a black box warning. I mean, they took Accutane off the market. The brand name Accutane, they took it off the market in the U.S. They're bringing it back, I believe. They love us, don't they? But they kept isotretinoin, the generic, on the market the entire time. Do you think pharma was going to take a money hit on this one? Yeah, they just pay off some politicians, pay off the FDA, get it okayed. They just don't sell it under their brand name anymore, which they probably lost the patent name anyway. If you want to know something that is really funny, is Accutane was it had a patent. But technically, you're not supposed to be allowed to patent chemicals that are naturally found inside the body. If you eat vitamin A, you turn some of it into Accutane, 13-cis-retinoic acid, the very same chemical that's in Accutane or isotretinoin. When you eat vitamin A, you turn some of that vitamin A into Accutane, and then you have Accutane floating around in your blood. How do you think all this stuff causes damage? And this is the biochemistry of vitamin A. No one can argue this. Anyone who were to argue that you don't turn vitamin A into Accutane in your body is either lying to you or they don't know anything about vitamin A metabolism. But no, I would not do MSM. Monica says, hi from Tenerife. What are your thoughts on dietary lectins and cholestasis? Thanks ever so much. Okay. I believe that lectins penetrate the gut much more easily. So what is the biggest cause of leaky gut? Let's back up on that one. Toxic bile eating holes, through your gut. Why would we get leaky gut? What is damaging our gut so much that we're eating holes in our gut lining? Everybody's eating food. And then people are saying, oh no, food is what causes leaky gut, like gluten and dairy and I'm sitting here we have people in the Love Your Liver network who used to be gluten intolerant, even celiacs, who are now noticing that they're not getting the reactions anymore. Yes, they didn't, but that's not normal. What you have with typical gluten intolerance or celiac people is they avoid it, and usually over time, because they're not actually fixing the root cause, it's getting more sensitive. And we're having people get to the point where they can eat gluten again. I'm not advocating eating a bunch of gluten, but gosh, wouldn't it be nice if you were somewhere where there wasn't anything to eat except gluten and you could eat it? Wouldn't that be nice? You don't have to go, oh no, I'm just going to sit here and starve. Or if the food supplies were going to get low soon and you're gluten intolerant and you can't eat, even though it may be junk food, you can't eat it. That's going to suck. So being able to tolerate gluten could be a very, very, very important thing coming up. So, lectins. You can't eat plant foods basically without lectins. There's no lectins in meat, regardless of what Diadamo put chicken on whatever list. There's no lectins in chicken. There's no lectins in beef. Lectins are a plant thing. I believe that lectins become a problem for people when they have leaky gut. And how do they get leaky gut? It is the toxic bile. I have people visualize it as like hot lava. And it could be more hot, more toxic, or less hot, less toxic. The hotter it is, the more it's going to dig holes through your intestine. It's going to dig holes. The toxic bile damages the liver cells that make it. It damages the bile ducts inside the liver that transport it out. It damages the big bile ducts. It damages your entire gut lining. If the bile goes backwards up into your stomach, it causes ulcers. But don't ulcers sound kind of like leaky gut? Gluten in certain people, not everyone, causes excessive bile dumping. So then what do celiac people have? They have a very specific type of damage to their intestines, which is probably due to a very specific pattern of toxicity to their bile. Colitis, like ulcerative colitis, digging holes, and that goes along with diarrhea. Well, diarrhea is excess bile in your intestines. Excess bile in your intestines, diarrhea, and eats holes in your intestines. Are you following me? This is how toxic this bile is. What do you think happens when it goes in your blood and goes up to your brain? Think it could give you things like anxiety, depression. They've now linked there's a paper called 3 Lines of Evidence showing that retinoids are vitamin A, causal to schizophrenia. How would you get the vitamin A in your blood? Leaky bile can cause you to go schizophrenic. This is all connected. This is the stuff that nobody's ever put together before. I don't know why God put me here to do this, but here I am. But that's the lectins thing. As you fix your leaky gut, the lectins become less of an issue. This is what we have on the program. We have people saying, I used to not be able to eat these things, and now I can. This happens all the time. Those of you who are here, if you've gained tolerance of certain foods, you're now able to eat foods that you weren't able to eat before, feel free to comment. Tell people about it in the live chat or in the comments below if you come here later. Give people the proof. Don't hide it. Don't save it for yourself. Tell everybody about it. We don't have any cases of fixing anaphylactic food allergies. I'm hoping my son is going to be one of the first to fix his tree nut allergies. But I don't think my ex has him on a good enough diet to do that, sadly. Maybe once he gets to be 18 and I can really help him with his diet, if he wants to do that. Anyway, I don't know if we can fix anaphylactic allergies yet. But simple food allergies, simple food intolerances, food sensitivities, yes, we've seen those go away very often. Okay. Which lectins could be part of that. Monica asks, hi, do you find reliable tests on mineral and heavy metal content in feces? I have not used that. I mean, minerals in your poop would be stuff you didn't absorb. So I don't know that I necessarily like, I like the serum tests, the blood tests, and the hair. This means these things have gotten into the system in a way. They're technically bioavailable. Bioavailable means it gets into your system. That's all it means. So the people out there with bioavailable copper, that means nothing. That's not a term in science. A bioavailable copper is you got bioavailable copper in your shower water and you're absorbing that through your skin. You got bioavailable copper in your drinking water after it goes through the copper water pipes. It's not good. They'll say, oh, well, that's not bioavailable copper. That's bad for you. It's bioavailable. It gets into your system. That's the definition of the word bioavailable. I mean, it's the definition. I fix bioavailable copper toxicity every day. But no, I haven't gotten into the poop. I've thought about doing urine minerals, but it was going to add several $100s to my consults. I may add it at some point as kind of like an extra thing for people to do if they want to get as big a panel as, if they want to get into it as deep as they can. But I haven't gone into the urine or poop yet, the feces. So no. Monica said, hi again, you recommend apples, but what's the difference between its polyphenols and other vegetable sources? It's not about the difference in polyphenols. This is a very important concept. If you're going to eat plant foods, well, any foods, you cannot go zero vitamin A. That's impossible. Anyone who says that there's no vitamin A in muscle meat, red meat, you're wrong. I have studies on wild reindeer, and they talk about the vitamin A content in their lean muscle. Okay? Any of the cows that you're eating, the beef that you're eating, if they're grass-fed, they're eating vitamin A, carotenoids. If you're eating, conventional beef, they're feeding those cows straight up vitamin A. They're going to have it in their muscles. What do they try to do? Fatten up cows? How do you think they help fatten them up? You know how they used to fatten up pigs? They gave them skim milk. After they'd get the fat out to make the butter, they would give the pigs skim milk. There is vitamin A stuck in casein, however you want to say it, and there's vitamin A stuck in whey. What would be in skim milk? Why would milk fatten up pigs? What would they be making to store all that vitamin A in? Fat, maybe? No one gets to be on a zero vitamin A diet. It doesn't exist. Grant and I agree on this. There is no such thing as a zero vitamin A diet. And I have never suggested that shooting for zero vitamin A is necessary, and it is not desirable. The same holds true for polyphenols. There is no such thing. If you're going to eat any plant foods, there is no such thing as a zero polyphenol diet, nor have I ever advocated for that. Grant did all his recovering his health eating black beans every day. But I want you to think about the difference. Like, we're going to talk about black beans. We're going to talk about, what am I thinking of? Oh, apples. We're going to talk about other fruits and vegetables that are different than them. Okay. So when you think of, let's say, black beans or even pinto beans or just about any type of bean, right? if you haven't, break open a bean sometimes, whether it's dry or whether it's cooked. Look at the color of the inside of it. That's like 95% of the bean. It's white, white-ish. Not a lot of vitamin A or polyphenols in the white. Yes, there is some in the coating, but that's not a very big part of it. See what I mean? So with the apples, how much of an apple is the skin? It's not much. So when you versus, let's say, a tomato, it's red all the way through, right? A red pepper is red all the way through. A mango, a papaya, whatever the tropical fruit you want to think of. I mean, pineapple, bright yellow, right? Where do you think generally yellow, oranges, and reds come from? Yellow, oranges, reds, and dark greens on plant foods comes from vitamin A. The dark green can also be from chlorophyll, obviously. But the other colors, like when you're talking about blueberries and even strawberries, strawberries don't have a ton of vitamin A because you can have the other colors of the rainbow where they're trying to poison you with plant foods. Eat a rainbow. The other colors are polyphenols, the purples, some of the reds, the blues. Those colors are polyphenols. So when we pick our foods, if the majority of the food, every plant food is going to have polyphenols in it. I'm not trying to make it. I mean, if I started saying you can't eat polyphenols and you have to minimize your vitamin A absolutely as low as possible, and you have to minimize your copper absolutely as low as possible, we're on an all muscle meat carnivore diet. I'm not going to do that diet. If I won't do it, I don't make other people do it. But we've had people have amazing results on like an all muscle meat carnivore diet with some psyllium added. We've had a lot of people do what's called the cowboy diet, which is just beef and beans of their choice. There's been people on Grant's forum and probably on mine who have done just beef and white rice. I'm not a fan of that diet. You start pushing rice 3 meals a day, 2 meals a day, and you're gonna be getting too much arsenic unless you properly prepare the rice. And most people aren't going to do that if you're eating it 3 times a day for real. So with apples, I think Grant has 1 apple every 2 weeks. What does he do? He peels it. He doesn't eat the skin. He wants to avoid the vitamin A that's in the skin. Grant doesn't really care about polyphenols because Grant is focused just on the vitamin A thing, and I bless him for it. So he peels his apples. Me, I'm just not going to peel my apples. If I'm going to eat an apple, I'm going to pick it up and eat it. Skin and all. I eat the core of it too. I remember my buddy used to grow up on a farm, and I don't know how we got into talking about it, but he was like, I think he may have seen me eating an apple at lunch one day, and he goes, I was getting to the core and I was eating around it and doing all that. And he goes, you don't eat the core? And I was like, what are you talking about? Who eats the core? And he goes, why not? Like, we used to do it at the farm all the time. You eat the whole apple except the stem. And I was like, I'll try it. So I started eating the whole apple. Now I just throw away the little stem and the whole thing's gone. Anyway, so you can't avoid polyphenols, so we decide what we're going to do about it. So if you like with the polyphenols on beans, you're not going to peel your beans, or at least if you do, good luck having time to do anything else in your life, right? Peeling apples, fine. Peeling cucumbers, very good idea if you're going to eat those. Some people even eat zucchini and they peel the dark green as much as possible off of it. So it's more, zucchinis are still a little yellowish tinge. They do have some lutein and zeaxanthin in them, definitely. But a lot of people do just fine on them. So we are trying to eat the majority. If we're going to eat plant foods, the parts that you're eating, the best choices, white in color, off-white in color, or light green in color. Those are the best options in the plant food world. Okay. But like, yeah, I'm going to eat the whole apple. So, Monica asks one more question. What are your thoughts on quinoa? And Merry Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas to you, Monica. Quinoa is a grain that people can have, but like, here's an example of how you can choose, right? There's like white quinoa, there's red quinoa, and there's black, I think it is, black quinoa. Well, which of those would be the best choice in terms of the lowest in polyphenols and potential vitamin A content? It would be the white. So, but again, quinoa is probably white on the inside. So maybe it's not that big a deal, but if you're going to make a choice and if the taste didn't matter in terms of the three, you're like, they all taste the same. I mean, quinoa is like kind of like, I don't care much for quinoa, but if you want to do it, fine. It is a low vitamin A grain. It's not a very high soluble fiber grain, which can be good for some people. And I talk about soluble fiber, good and bad, more or less in the program. So, let's see. Scrolling down. Will asks, since the network changed names, will you be changing this stream to be the ND stream instead of the LYL stream? I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Hello, Ramon. Let me just check. No more. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any other. Thanks again, Will, for the super chat. Glad I could fill the hole in your zinc model. Let me find. Let me see. Where was I? There we are. Okay. Let's see. Will says the video couldn't be better timed for you. Yeah, well, synchronicities. Everything happens for a reason and as it is supposed to. Let's see. Will says, I've noticed that when I turn off bile through doing things like aspirin, antihistamines, or fructose, I sleep better. It's obvious what's happening. Have you guys ever seen on the internet where people say, just take a giant tablespoon of raw honey before you go to bed? And they make up all sorts of stories as to why it helps your sleep. Fructose slows down your bile production. This is what it does. That's what it does. I'm not saying never to eat fructose. I eat most days. I'm in the phase where I'm eating 4 bananas a day. I do 2 before my workout in the early morning. So I got to eat something before. I like to eat something before I work out because I work out for a significant amount of time. And I have some like a beef stick with some bananas because I just grab it and go. And I might have 2 bananas when I get back. And then I have some other protein, a significant amount of protein when I get back. So I feel good on bananas. I'm not worried about the fructose in whole fruit. But also, people on the internet are going, yeah, you just eat before you go to bed. Just make sure it's got carbs in it. And especially they tend to push sugar things like honey. Antihistamines shut down your bile. Your bile contains toxic stuff that is the cause of your allergies. Remember how I said gluten can cause some people to dump bile? What if you have an allergen that is causing you to dump bile and you just put a bunch of toxicity in your blood and then you get symptoms? Explains that too. Let me see. Let me see. Let me just see sinusitis. Let me see if I can find something on this. Nothing's coming up. Let's do. Oh, here we go. Toxic bile theory strikes again. Here's the paper. The bile acid activated retinoic acid response in dendritic cells is involved in food allergen sensitization. Okay. Oh, let me back up 1 second. Josh Getzko, great guy, great researcher. He gets it. He sent me a study once that showed that when they were trying to induce celiac in mice, they couldn't do it until they gave them vitamin A. They could not make the mice celiac until they gave them vitamin A. Do you understand how big that is? If anybody has that paper, post it. I know it's in the Love Your Liver program. I think it's actually here. Let me find the link. I think it's on my forum too. But yeah, credit to Josh for finding that paper. Here it is. My old forum post connecting food allergies and even celiac to vitamin A toxicity. So here we are. So we connect vitamin A. How does vitamin A get in the blood? Through the bile. The bile acid activated retinoic acid response in dendritic cells is involved in food allergen sensitization. Let me find the good, let's see. I want to make sure I'm talking about the blood here. Bile acid profiles in the mucosal lymph tissue. So so your mucosal surfaces would be like the inside of your mouth. It'd be like anything on the inside, your intestinal surfaces, your rear end, mucosal surfaces, the stuff that is moist. Okay, that's always moist. So that's what they're talking about. Mucosal lymph tissue. Your lymph tissue is your sewer system of the body. Okay. So what do we have here? Let's just say this first. Antibiotics induced an enlarged bile acid pool and dysregulated, or as in off, bile acid profiles contributed to enhanced retinoic acid signaling. How would it get there? In mucosal dendritic cells. An enlarged bile acid pool in the lymph glands. How would it get up there? You shouldn't have bile in your blood. You should not have, in a perfect world, if you were perfectly healthy, you should have 0 bile in your blood. Antibiotics increased the amount of bile in the sewer system of the body. So that means it increased the bile in the blood, and it was then filtered out into the lymph system. And dysregulated bile acid profiles, so messed up bile acid recipes composition, contributed to enhanced retinoic acid signaling. Retinoic acid signaling means there's retinoic acid there, basically, in mucosal dendritic cells. Okay. Let's see. Oh, this is the good line. This is what I saw. Depletion of bile acid reduces food allergen-specific IgE and IgG1 levels in mice. Did you catch how important that was? Depletion of bile acid in the mucosal lymph tissue reduces food allergen-specific IgE and IgG1 levels in mice. How do they diagnose allergies? They look at the IgE and the IgG levels in your blood. If you've ever had a food allergy test, they're measuring IgG or IgE. Less bile in your system, because it's supposed to be only in your gut. Less bile in your bloodstream and in your lymph cells. Less allergies. Really, sometimes I sit here and I go, this is really amazingly huge that now we can go back in the research and find all of this stuff. It's all been there the whole time. I wish I could have found this for you all earlier, but God has everything happen in his own time, right? So, but yes, aspirin, painkillers slow down your bile production, or they store it more in your liver. CBD and THC, I don't have this paper on me, but CBD and THC store more vitamin A in your liver. Gosh, how did I tell you how people can feel better? They could store more stuff in their liver or their body fat. Okay. That's what CBD and THC do. People are saying medical marijuana makes me feel better. It never gets anybody better. But you could slow down. I'm not going to get into all of that right now. If you use medical marijuana to help your symptoms, realize that it is helping your symptoms. It is not fixing a damn thing. Don't think that your problem's going to go away. You're just going to be using medical marijuana the rest of your life. This is like the way most people use pharmaceuticals. Just think of herbs as like pharmaceuticals with slower side effect profiles and lower side effect profiles. Nobody has an herb deficiency. Okay? Especially not having to make like, what's that oil that people make where they're like injecting, the oil, or they're drinking the straight CBD and THC oil. That's a drug. That's a straight up drug. Like that's pharmaceutical in nature. To super duper concentrate THC or CBD. That's a drug. Don't fool yourself. Okay. Emma says, I'm here to listen today and always because I love your show. Thanks for giving us life again. You are welcome. Glad to have you here. Mary says, Mary here, so thankful for the information you share. You are all very welcome. I don't know what else I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. Will asks, what does taurine do? I hear a lot of people saying it's good, but I've never looked into it. I don't know. Oh, wait, there's something that it might do. Wait. I didn't put this in my big thread. Sometimes I think about how many studies I have like stored away in my brain that I just find again every time because I don't know where I'd keep them all. Okay. So certain things, this is a big thing I think about with antidote theory. A lot of the things that people think are good for them in supplements, a lot of the things that like B vitamins that people think are totally essential, they may actually simply be antidotes to toxins in your system. By antidotes, I mean they are either binding to the toxin and protecting you from it while they're bound to it. It's like it binds, like retinol binding protein. Hey, retinol binding protein binds to vitamin A and it protects you from it. Well, here's this paper, vitamin A, aldehyde, retinaldehyde, taurine adduct, and the visual cycle. So an adduct is something they stick together. They bind together. So retinaldehyde, taurine adduct, and the visual cycle. If you go into the vitamin A deficiency does not exist Twitter thread, and towards the end of it, I go through taurine. Taurine in animal studies and in human studies has been shown to help. So they don't do a lot of taurine deficiency studies. They don't know how to do a taurine deficiency study. Well, actually they have. And taurine, they gave animals dry eye, and then they gave them taurine, and the taurine corrected the dry eye. Okay. Taurine is completely so that's one of the things that they say vitamin A toxicity causes. All right, sorry. Let me back up. One of the things that there's three main things that we're going to go over real quick that the mainstream says that vitamin A deficiency causes: dry eye, night blindness, skin problems. So if you go into that vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist thread, you'll find I found research showing that taurine treats dry eye. Like you give taurine, it fixes dry eye. taurine is absolutely completely involved in the photoreceptors, the light receptors of the eye. So if you didn't have enough taurine, your light receptors of your eye wouldn't work. Therefore, you'd get night blindness. And taurine has been used in all sorts of skin issues, from acne to ulcers to anti-aging to whatever. Okay? It's all in there. Go look. So taurine helps all of the things that are supposedly caused by vitamin A deficiency. Where is about the only place you can get a decent amount of taurine from in your diet? It's meat. Don't go looking on the internet and they're like, well, you can get taurine from eggs and dairy. No, it's a joke. Even chicken, the taurine amount in chicken doesn't even compare to red meat. I'm not saying you have to eat red meat all the time, but I'm saying in terms of taurine, even chicken doesn't compare to red meat, and dairy and eggs are like a joke in terms of taurine. Taurine seems to protect a lot of tissues from vitamin A. Now, before everybody runs out and starts supplementing taurine, some people get along with taurine, supplemental taurine, and some people don't. Taurine, I think, stirs up copper out of the liver too much for some people. So if taurine helps you feel better, go for it. If taurine messes with your sleep or whatever, then don't take it. Get it from meat. Okay? But what does taurine do? That this is the only evidence I have of what it does, Will, is that taurine binds to retinaldehyde and likely makes it less toxic in an antidoting fashion. Now, here's the other thing I want to say to you folks about antidotes is if you are taking, like, let's say mega dose B vitamins, because you're like, if I don't take my B vitamins, I don't feel good. I have horrible symptoms if I forget my B vitamins. And you're taking like mega doses, you are antidoting something. If humans actually truly needed supplemental doses of B vitamins, we'd all be dead. Our grandparents would all be dead, and we wouldn't be here. Okay, this whole idea of megadosing B vitamins is a new thing, partially because the supplement people who are the main supplement manufacturers in the world, did you know that those are pharmaceutical houses? Pharmaceutical houses make your vitamins. They sell the raw materials to other companies to package into tablets and capsules for you. The pharmaceutical companies are getting us coming and going. You either take their meds or you take their vitamins. Vitamin science was created by the Rockefellers and Merck. All these people arguing for mega doses of vitamins. If you need it, okay, so let's go back into that. If you need, it's like when we talked about CBD and THC or megadose B vitamins, if it's helping you with symptoms and you're like, life would suck if I didn't take this. Okay, like people who are in chronic pain like all the time and they're like, I can't figure out a way off my pain med. First, we work on the diet, because one of the things people have noticed in the Love Your Liver program is that their pain threshold goes way up. If you're out there in the chat and you've noticed this, feel free to say it. I've noticed it. Pain threshold goes way up. This is also probably part of why people are getting so much stronger as they get detoxed more. You can take more pain in terms of lifting and stuff like that, so you can get stronger, and then you're recovering better because you're not so inflamed. So B vitamins, if you're taking them and you feel like they're helping, you can keep taking them. If you're taking any supplement and it's not helping you specifically with something, you can't say, when I take this, it helps this. Don't take it if it's not an essential nutrient. I use like 6, 7 supplements. They're all single ingredient. None of them are B vitamins. As a normal course of things. Zinc, selenium, molybdenum, magnesium topically, potassium, all sorts of ways with potassium. I took a magnesium potassium bath yesterday. Love that. So the minerals are the main thing. The minerals are what we are made of. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. What is dust? Dust is minerals. Okay. Ashes are carbon, which is organic chemistry. Minerals are inorganic chemistry. That's the dust. So ashes, carbon, dust, minerals. A lot of the poisons that we get are carbon-based, organic chemistry type stuff. But back to if you need to, so if you are, a lot of people don't realize that they're taking multivitamins or mega B vitamins and they're actually feeling worse. They just don't know it because they've just been taking it for so damn long. And they keep taking it. And then sometimes when I tell them, if it's not doing anything good for you that you can notice, or if it's even worse, making you feel worse, stop taking it. I have people come to me with 3 pages worth of supplements. One person who's probably here today, or she would normally be here, I think she came to me with 3 pages of supplements when I first consulted with her. I got her down to 1 page in our first visit. We got rid of a whole 2 pages of supplements. Her and her husband took a vacation after a month or two because they were saving so much damn money. 99% of supplements out there are unnecessary or bad for you. You are wasting your time, you are wasting your health, you are wasting your money. If you feel better on something that is not an essential nutrient, it is causing some sort of drug-like effect in you. Could be antidoting something, but antidotes, when you don't need an antidote, if you take an antidote, like if you took snake venom, antidote, so the antidote to a snake bite, but you didn't have snake venom in you, the antidote would cause you problems. So I wanted to get to this part about that because taurine in some people, they've taken it a long time. It's really helped them, the supplement. But at some point, I talk about this concept. At some point, antidotes turn on you and they start making you feel worse because you don't need the antidote anymore. Antidotes taken without the poison make you feel worse. Some of you may have noticed this phenomenon. You took a supplement for a really long time, and then all of a sudden, later you figured out, oh, wait, this was what was making me feel bad. It used to make me feel good. Now it's making me feel bad. Stop taking it. Don't hold on to like nostalgia of it used to make me feel so good, and now it doesn't, but I should probably still take it. This is what people are supplement addicted. Supplement addiction is absolutely real. It's very easy to slip into. You just think, I'll just take more and more pills. The answer is generally less toxicity, less pills than what a lot of us are doing. We want to fix the deficiencies, the specific deficiencies of especially minerals, and have our toxins go down and not put in things that are unnecessary. Everything you put in your body must go through your liver. Everything you're supplementing, it's going to go to your liver. This means it's a load on your liver. It's like people who overdrink water. All of that water is just running your kidneys all day long. They're just constantly filtering, constantly. It doesn't, even if it's clean water, it'd be like, let's say you have put the best gas in your car, but you just run your engine on idle all day. Like your car's out in the parking lot and you just let it run on idle. That'd be like you're just running gas through it, burning gas. This would be like you drinking plain water all day long, way more than you need. You're just running your kidney engines all day unnecessarily. And what would happen to a car engine? Because you're doing all that gas all the time, it would accumulate toxicity faster. The engine would get dirty from running. It's just running all the time unnecessarily. What do you think happens in your kidneys, no matter how clean the water is that you're drinking? you're still going to accumulate whatever's in that water. And you're still going to run your kidney. I mean, think if you ran your car on idle, do you think it's going to get the miles? Like, do you think you're going to make it to 100,000 or 200,000 miles if every time you weren't in, if your car just ran all day, whether you were driving it or not? No, your car would break down so quickly. Don't overdrink water. If you are peeing clear, you're drinking too much. Your body is dumping water. That's why it looks like water and not piss. Piss is yellow. Water is clear. Your body's telling you. If a veterinarian saw an animal pissing as clear as a lot of people out there are doing, they would assume that that animal had a disease like diabetes insipidus. They would say, why is that animal peeing clear? That's not normal. You ever seen animals piss, how yellow it is? You ever seen a horse piss? My God, it's so yellow. And it smells so bad. But are the horses dying of dehydration all of a sudden? No. Why not? Why are we ignoring our thirst? Why are we told that your thirst is not a signal of your hydration? Why don't we teach our dogs and our horses that just ignore your thirst, drink all the time? Why does it work for animals to pee yellow and we're so much smarter? You think your grandparents carried around a water bottle all the time? No. As I take a sip of water because I'm talking for 2 hours straight, yeah. Okay. So that was a huge tangent onto antidote theory. Somebody did let me find the super chat. There it is. Jiminy Christmas, Ramon. Ramon asks, there's also Will. I didn't see your second super chat, Will. Let me get to that too. Let me get to Ramon's and then I'll get to yours, Will. And then I think we'll be wrapping it up. Why is quitting coffee harder than quitting alcohol and smoking / vaping? I drink 15 cups a day. Is it willpower? Any tips? Thank you and Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas to you and you are welcome. 15 cups a day, man. You're probably going to have to wean. You're going to need to make this scientific and you're going to have to allow you could go cold turkey. You could just jump off of it. I'm sure you've tried that before and you probably felt like dog crap and you couldn't function at your job, in your life, in the gym. You just couldn't function at all, is my guess. Because I've been on 2 or 3 cups a day and tried to quit cold turkey and it's rough. I'm sitting there in my afternoon console starting, like nodding off and it's not fun. But 15, what I do now, or what I did, I would wean. If I was on, let's say 3 cups a day, I'd do a week of 2 cups a day, maybe even 2 weeks of 2 cups a day. And then I'd go down to 1 cup a day for a week or 2. And then I go down to, usually I did a week. It's the last, and then I get down to half a cup for a week. That's where I'd start noticing a little bit of fading in the afternoon, maybe some yawns in the afternoon, but half a cup a day was still enough to prevent the big crash in the afternoons. And then it would be at some point on a weekend day, I planned this out. I would tell everybody in my life, I quit coffee tomorrow for good. I'm going to be irritable. I'm going to be sleepy. I'm going to have to take a nap. Like I got to tell my son, I have to take a nap in the afternoon because I don't normally nap. I tell him I'm going to have to take a nap tomorrow. Don't mess with me in my nap. Because I'm going to be grumpy. And then the whole next week, the first day is the worst. And then the whole next week, I'm just yawning more in the afternoons. And then after a week or 2 of that, it's completely out of my system. But the wean, your system is completely reliant and dependent upon the drug effect of the caffeine. You jumping off of it, it's like people jumping off of thyroid. They say it takes 2 full weeks for your own thyroid. If let's say you were on thyroid hormone and you suddenly quit it, it's going to take your own thyroid 2 whole weeks to ramp up its production to catch up, to get back to where it was when you weren't suppressing it with the thyroid hormone. So whatever the coffee's doing for you, also the bile dumping that the coffee, that your body has become kind of adapted or dependent upon the coffee to dump bile. That could be why it's so hard for you at that dose of coffee that you're on. One thing you could do to wean off of it is you could just make the coffee. You could still do 15 cups if that's like just a habit that's really hard to break. You just make the coffee a little weaker week by week. So you could wean off of it by making the coffee weaker in a systematic manner. You could do it by simply drinking fewer cups a day. And that 15 cups a day, I mean, that's a lot of fluid too. I bet you're pissing all day. Probably pissing clear at 15 cups a day. Piss smelling like coffee all day. I've been there. I know that. So, yeah, so those are the suggestions in terms of alcohol. I mean, alcohol is, I'm trying to think of the analogy here. Smoking and vaping are so they're easier to quit. Well, okay, so one of the things that could be a part of the quitting here is society's acceptance of these things. Smoking and vaping, people really kind of look down on it. I mean, vaping is like, I see somebody vaping and I'm like, oh man, seriously? I saw a video on Twitter yesterday of a guy doing like crazy smoke rings with the vape smoke. And I was like, you seriously spend your time practicing these crazy smoke rings? Like, wow, okay. There's something for everybody, I guess. But smoking and vaping are less acceptable. So you have kind of that motivation behind it. Alcohol, I would say coffee is like expected. Like something like 90% of the US drinks coffee every day. Some amount. 90%. Talk about drug addicted. So coffee's very, very acceptable. Alcohol is not an everyday thing. It definitely shouldn't be, but it is for some people. But alcohol really shouldn't be an everyday thing. But coffee is an everyday thing. So the smoking and vaping has the society looking down on it. The alcohol, I mean, almost everybody does it, but it's more of a thing that you don't do every day. So it's easier to quit things that you don't do every day. And then but the coffee is like, once you get hooked on it, like I know if I have coffee 3 days in a row, I basically have to break the habit again. I have to wean again. So coffee's just, speedy things are the most addictive. It's just the nature of them. People want the speedy feeling. And then when they go back to normal, it's just not satisfying. So, Will asks, does charcoal suck zinc? For me, he's saying for him, zinc equals a bile dump. Yeah, zinc does equal a bile dump. That's why you get nauseous if you take zinc on an empty stomach. Zinc increases bile dumping. I think I found a study on this. Just yesterday. Let's see. I swear I did. What was I doing when I found that? Oh, I was on the office hours. Let's just try zinc. Med bile. So here was the paper I believe I found. Zinc supplementation suppresses the progression of bile duct ligation-induced liver fibrosis in mice. So what they did was they gave these rats cholestasis. They tied their bile ducts shut. Or you could say ligation. They may have cut it, but they could tie it shut, they could cut it. Either way, the bile ducts are not connected anymore. They're not flowing anymore. So when they gave, here, let's see this. Where there was one where it was zinc deficiency, and here, we'll just read this. The present study was undertaken to test the hypothesis that zinc supplementation suppresses liver fibrosis. That's like basically leading into cirrhosis, the scarring of the liver, okay, where it doesn't work anymore. The last sentence. Therefore, the results demonstrate that zinc supplementation suppresses BDL, bile duct ligation-induced liver fibrosis, cholestasis, toxic bile leakage, damage, through both inhibiting collagen production and enhancing collagen degradation. Basically, zinc is making the liver work better. Let's see if I can find it. Efficiency. Anyway, I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to look for it too long. Okay. Does charcoal, I'm assuming, Will, you're asking, does charcoal bind to zinc and lower it in the system? No. I challenge anyone out there who says charcoal absorbs your good nutrients. Find me one study that shows that any nutrient deficiency has ever been induced in humans or animals from charcoal, assuming they were eating a normal diet. You won't find it. The study that everybody bases this assumption on, and you know why I say assumption, they added charcoal to apple juice. And they stirred it around, and then they saw what happened to the apple juice, and they measured some vitamin C and some B6 and the polyphenols in the apple juice. The apple juice became quite a bit clearer and lost some of its color. So that means the charcoal bound to some of the polyphenols, and it lowered some of the levels of certain B vitamins, antidotes, and vitamin C a little bit. If you didn't know yet, vitamin A toxicity is the cause of scurvy. There's a paper called Hypervitaminosis A and Scurvy, and they said that the vitamin A toxicity symptoms in dogs were exactly the same as scurvy symptoms in dogs. And that vitamin C relieved some of the symptoms of vitamin A toxicity. I'm not telling everybody out there to go and take vitamin C for your vitamin A toxicity. That's not the way out of it. It's not. It could help a teeny bit, but it's not the way out of it. If you've taken high dose vitamin C, what you did was you suppressed your bile production. So that's how you felt better. That's how you that's how you relieved your symptoms. The vitamin C suppressed your bile production. High dose, where you have to take so much that you're just short of diarrhea. When you take over that amount, I think what happens is there's some threshold where the vitamin C flips on you. This is this weird phenomenon that a lot of people have trouble understanding, where you can push so hard that all of a sudden you flip the process. It happens. I don't know why. It's the duration paradox. It's where things that people take short term that seem to help them in the long term are going to make them worse, and things that people do in the short term that may, like detox stuff, may make them feel a little worse for a while, may actually be part of them getting better. But don't let anybody fool you into thinking that detox symptoms last a year or 2 or 3. I've had people come to me working with some of these other big names out there where the people are like, I feel like dog crap all the time. I'm not getting any better. And they say, oh, it's just detox and retracing. These people go a year without getting any better. They're getting worse. And these practitioners don't change anything they're doing. They don't listen to the person. They don't change their stuff based on their labs. And they just keep watching the person get worse. And then when the person finally quits the program, they blame the client or the patient. They'll say, oh, they weren't doing this enough. They weren't taking enough cod liver oil. They weren't eating enough liver. They weren't paleo enough, or they weren't taking their mitosynergy copper or whatever. No, you made them worse. They quit because they got worse. I had a woman who said she almost lost her marriage because for 3 years, the other biggest name in hair mineral analysis out there on the internet, directly working with her, for 3 years, she got worse and worse and worse. She was basically becoming kind of semi-crazy, and she almost lost her marriage. She just kept, the 3 years, they just kept telling her, oh, it's detox, oh, it's retracing. That is what's called horse shit. Don't let them do this to you. Retracing is a temporary phenomenon. It comes and it goes on its own. If you are getting detox symptoms, you are pushing detox too hard, and you need to back off somewhere. I talk about this in the program all the time. I'm telling people, slow down, hit the brakes. You added something and now you feel worse, back off. You're doing too much. I'm not here to make people feel worse. But we also have to know that there are things that people can do that make them feel better that are worse for them long term. Okay? So let me see. I just want to make sure. Okay, Emma asks, what about supplementing with essential amino acids when enough protein is hard to consume? I mean, you could do that. I tend to, the one supplement, protein supplement that I have used myself is the collagen powders. Vital Proteins is available at Costco. It would be great if you can get organic. It's just really hard to get. It's hard to get organic collagen. You can get it. It's out there. But, you know, 1 scoop of collagen is 20 grams of protein. So if you can put 1 scoop of collagen in your day, which collagen is gelatin that has been hydrolyzed, enzymatically degraded down into amino acids, maybe di and tripeptides, maybe 1, 2, or 3 amino acids together, or it may just be single amino acids. But that's a decent way to get some more protein in your day. Egg white protein, it's still going to be really high in sulfur. Egg white protein is very well known for giving people sulfur farts. If you have a molybdenum deficiency and you start taking a bunch of egg white protein and you start getting a bunch of sulfur farts, that's part of it. You need molybdenum to process sulfur. You need molybdenum to detox sulfur. So the individual amino acids, I mean, if you're going to do like an amino acid liquid, like I think Twin Lab makes one, like essential aminos or something. I don't know. I don't like those things. Collagen at least is fairly tasteless. A lot of normal people put it in their coffee. You could put it in whatever you want. Sometimes we mix it into things for my mom to get more protein because my mom has some swallowing issues. So collagen is a very, like, my mom's swallowing issues are bad enough she can't eat steak anymore, for example. So we'd use some of the collagen in her food. Let me see. Is there anybody else with the... Okay, I got that one. So I hope that answers your question, Emma. Let me see. Got Ramon, got Will. Thank you all for the super chats. I really do appreciate that. And we got Will's zinc model comment. Okay. So Pierre's asking about the live stream. I talk too much here. I always go over and then I'm late for the live stream. So I'm going to go now, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it. Some people complain that these are too long, and I just have to do it this way because we're changing the paradigm of medicine. If I were to just tell you bile in the blood is the cause of your disease, you'd be like, no, nobody else says that. Where's your evidence? And then I'd have to give you all the evidence. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving you the evidence. Okay. Oh, here's the link that I forgot to send. Anyway, I have to do it this way because I have to show my work, right? Just like in math, when you were a kid, you got to show your work. I'm doing something here, and people, all of you lovely people who are joining me in this journey to change people's health for good, you know, you've tried to talk to your friends, you've tried to talk to your family, and they're like, I don't know about this. This sounds like a bunch of hocus pocus BS, you know, right? They don't believe you. A lot of times they're never going to look into it for the people. Those of you who are here, you appreciate this work, the backing it up, the references, all that stuff. So I appreciate you being here. We're all early adopters. If you're here, you're an early adopter. We're changing the whole game. So thank you for coming. If you need to find stuff from me, nutritiondetective.com is the website. Like I said, you can get the free course, The Madness of Modern Nutrition, if you go to members.nutritiondetective.com and you just request to join. And then we'll approve you, and then you get into that free area to read that course. And then, yeah, I'm on all of my social media. Links are below. If you want to find me around the internet, I'm mostly on Twitter now. I'll be posting some stuff to Facebook and Instagram, but man, Meta is just so bad. Terrible. Anyway. Oh yeah, Will said one of my friends called this propaganda conspiracy, LMAO. Yeah. Propaganda. Like, right, that's why I put all these references. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm just putting the pieces together. And my conspiracy is to get people healthier and off all their BS supplements and off all their BS meds, and to fix the root cause of what's poisoning them and their nutrient deficiencies. Yeah, I'm the propaganda conspiracy theorist. Here I am. Do I believe that it's a conspiracy to poison us and deplete us of the things we need to survive? Yes, I do. And I probably shouldn't have just said those two words for the search, but hey, the right people will find me. Butch, collagen. Okay, you said collagen's not a complete protein. The idea that you have to eat complete proteins at every meal to make protein work has been debunked. Amino acids that you eat float around in your bloodstream for at least 24 hours. So if you eat, the old rice and beans thing where they say, well, you got to eat rice and beans together to have a complete protein. Okay, if you eat rice in the morning and beans at night, and it's within a 24-hour period, they will find each other and they will do what they need to do. So if you take collagen in the morning and you eat any muscle meat or plant protein or whatever, and it's going to have the complementary amino acids, it's going to work. A lot of the BS that we were told about protein, like you can only digest 30 grams of protein at a meal, the complete protein stuff, it's all like BS. You wouldn't want to eat collagen as your only protein. That would not be good. But yeah, so don't worry. Just as long as you're eating a mixed diet, you're good. Within 24 hours, you're going to make complete proteins out of the stuff you eat together. So yeah, so this is what I like, is helping people people say, well, you're making people like worry about all these things in their food. And I'm like, no, but I'm also telling people like the complete protein thing is bunk. Like just eat food during the day. It'll all come together. So yeah, so I'm trying to, if you are sick, you've got problems. If you are sick, If you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. If banging your head against the same wall over and over is making your head hurt, stop banging your head against the same wall. Right? Doc, it hurts when I do this. Don't do that. Okay? So, if you're sick, we got to change things. Whatever you've done to this point hasn't worked. Yeah, you could try, Alexa, you could try a different wall, maybe a softer wall, go from brick to like drywall. That might work. Yeah, absolutely. Try a different wall, try a different part of the wall, or try banging your head against the air. And that might feel the least bad, right? So put a pillow against the wall if you insist on banging your head against the wall, right? So anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. I got to go to the inner circle now. And y'all have a great day. Have a great weekend. I will see you next time. Bye now.